Yeah. Danny's just talking. So
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. No one cares. It's me talking. No one cares.
What? That's not true. People care.
No, they don't.
I don't know if it's any of us, but some people care.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure no one does.
Oh, okay.
I'm comfortable with that.
No one does because no one knows who Danny is, and Danny's fine with that.
Yeah,
Didn't you do part of the shoutcasting over the weekend?
I did. I did the last game.
But he didn't see. He didn't do the important game.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't do the game everyone remembers. Damn, Leffel got his models pulled. Like, like
Danny has.
I was there at the game of like, oh wow. I think I said it. That of course didn't get picked up on stream of like the like looking at the list like, wow, I'm pretty sure this Imperium player's fucked. But we'll see if he can do some razzle dazzle. And then it's like, oh yeah, no, look, that's what happened. Okay.
Well, I mean, at least then, you were right. You're proven right,
Yeah, just it's like a tree falling in the forest. Does it matter if you're right if no one validates you for it?
If no one's there to validate it for you, the answer is no.
Yeah, integrity.
Always.
I do the John just seems to happen on the right spots. I'm the guy that throw shit on the wall, see what sticks.
What are you talking about?
In terms of getting noticed.
Yeah.
Danny seems to always have the bad luck of not getting noticed.
It's good luck.
Or not. Well, it depends how you want to look at it. Yes.
It's really good luck.
I get noticed because people love me.
Yes, that's exactly why.
That's what they tell me when I see them at LVO. That's what they always tell me.
People love Alex Jones too.
That's true, they do. I mean, have we established already that I am the Alex Jones of this podcast?
You really are.
Thank you. I want to take that as a
quasi-compliment. I'm sure you're comfortable with that.
I am. But when you see, the difference is you don't have to get me into court before I'll admit that I'm just trying to be funny.
That's all an act. It's all an act. Smoking
exactly. Performance art, I believe his lawyer's official position was.
I think so. And also, I'm not advocating for anybody attacking anybody's children.
That's true.
Or
denying that people's children
dead
died.
Children, yes. Yeah. I don't do any of that, so. Integrity.
Indeed.
You want to count us in, Adam?
No, because hold on.
What the fuck, man?
Did you look at the show notes?
I have the show notes open on one of my 5 screens.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay.
What?
Don't worry, John. I do that with everybody.
There's nothing in the show notes doesn't meet my approval this time. I didn't feel the need to change anything this time around, unless you have a separate set of show notes for you and Danny. Yeah. That you left me out of.
We have the real show notes, and then we have the John show notes.
We have the show notes that John gets to change stuff and feel like he contributes, and then we have the real show notes.
I wouldn't put it past you bastards, so I'm just saying.
Actually, we have that for Tom.
Yeah.
I was making a joke. You weren't supposed to out the real thing.
That's right. Tom doesn't listen. He's too busy working right now.
That's true. Sucks to be at work at 8:19 at night.
Yep, sucks to suck.
I remember those days.
Yeah, but you liked that.
True. I enjoyed it.
It got you out of the house. You were like, good.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second.
Although that was before WoW Classic.
Yes.
What?
Although I'm only at 26 now, so I haven't been able to get on recently.
Not a thing.
All right, count us in. It's already 8:20.
I know. I'm just waiting for Adam, the unprofessional member of the group, who can't get his own show notes open.
Oh, no, I have the show notes open. I was getting on the Twitch thing to up our numbers. Hopefully nobody heard that.
Damn it.
Hold on, I have to... All right. John, you may count us down.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're on.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of TFG Radio. We are joined once again by Danny.
Hey.
Was able to take his time off from his busy work. And John on the Wheels of Steel, as always.
Yeah.
Multiple screens.
Yep. Got 4 of them.
How many? 4? Only 4?
Only 4.
So far?
Rookie numbers.
I need to get one more 27-inch screen for the bottom, so it's double 27s, and then double 24s on top.
Jesus, man.
What?
He wants to. He wants to be the guy from Matrix. He wants to be the.
Oh my god! I totally forgot about that in the Matrix.
You want to be Cypher?
Yes, I totally forgot they had all those screens in the Matrix movie, and it's all just the stupid Matrix code that they all pretend they can read.
It's real.
So
those movies don't hold up.
Does that make you Cypher or Tank?
Which one's the black dude that dies?
Tank.
No, Tank is the one. He lives, except he made the great mistake of Hollywood of he asked for more money, and so they wrote him out and replaced him with Harold Rambeau, who is a much better actor anyway. So that worked out, I guess. But you know,
I mean, sure. It's just those movies just don't hold up, in my opinion.
You shut your whore mouth. They're fucking amazing.
I think they do.
No,
at least the first one does.
They all, I don't know. They all do. As maligned as 2 is.
Well, 2 is definitely better than 3.
No.
Yeah.
2, I like the highway scene in 2 is still like one of the best. Chase scenes ever.
All the things with the ghosts were good.
Yeah, the Bobo Dreddies were awesome, and then the third has the battle at the dock, the Battle of Zion, which is fucking awesome.
That's not that great.
No,
it was not that great. The third movie was not that great.
No,
it just wasn't.
Then they had the Dragon Ball Z fight scene. No.
Yeah, no.
No. Both are just garbage human beings.
No, you just no.
I mean, okay, but like, we're still right.
No, we're absolutely not. I'll die on this fucking hill.
I'm not disagreeing with that statement about the garbage human beings, but that does not make us wrong.
Exactly. It definitely
blind
does not
squirrel finds a nut.
Sure, whatever. I'll take whatever you want as long as I'm right.
But you're really not.
I absolutely am. That movie's not good.
Whatever.
The first one's the best. Period.
First one is
the first one is amazing.
But that's usually the case with most.
You know what the problem is? Those movies ruined Keanu Reeves trilogies for me so much that I've only ever watched the first John Wick.
Oh no, man! John Wick 2 and 3.
Because I'm like, I don't trust. I gotta keep the purity.
It's a different kind because the Matrix trilogy tries to be like a whole coherent story with like philosophical arcs and narratives. Like John Wick is basically like, how the fuck do we go crazier? Right? Like it's just a constant attempt to beat itself in how ultra violent and over the top ultra violent can be. So it's fucking amazing.
All right.
Yeah. John Wick 2 and 3 are definitely worth watching.
Well,
Fusehead says the tribal rave doesn't hold up.
No, the tribal rave is terrible.
Yeah, he says it wasn't good in the first place, and he's absolutely right. Definitely not good in the first place.
So movie critique aside, it's a whole different podcast.
Fucking plebes.
Whatever.
Keanu trilogies aside. Mm-hmm. Well, what about this next trilogy he's doing with the
Bill and Ted?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think I would have rather seen a Point Break trilogy.
Oh God.
But what's his name's dead? Oh, he died in the movie though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Patrick Swayze's character, he died in the movie.
Yeah,
so still
that's a movie I was never on board with as being great either.
It's not.
It's not a good movie. It's an entertaining movie.
Yeah, I never got into it. I guess I think it's a little bit like me and reading The Catcher in the Rye. I read it as like a legit adult in college, and I was like, "This book sucks."
No,
this character is terrible. Why does anybody like this guy? Holden Caulfield's a douche.
Catcher in the Rye is the kind of book that is really resonant when you're like 16 and you think you know how the world works, and then when you read it as an adult, you're like, "No, this is just garbage."
Right. Yeah, and you're like, this kid just needs a swift kick in the ass.
Yeah.
He needs a good dose of reality. This is how the world actually works, kid. And he'll straighten him right out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways. I think that was my problem with Point Break. Watched it too late in life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's certain things you just have to watch, read, or just do at certain ages.
Yes.
Yeah. It resonates
like
more.
the Ace Ventura movies.
Oh, yeah. You can't watch those as an adult.
No,
I mean you can.
If you're not 13 when you're seeing that for the first time, I don't know what you're really getting out of it.
Yeah. That's like most of the what's his name, like Clerks and
Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith.
Most of those you got to watch like in your mid-teens,
your late teens, early 20s,
Yeah.
depending
Yeah.
on like
Yeah,
where
you
you
can
are.
you can
Yeah,
watch
you relate
Dogma and Clerks into your 20s.
Yeah, Dogma is. I hold by that Dogma is his best movie.
I
Like,
hold
the
by
one
that
that holds
Dogma
up the
should have
best.
won the Oscar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dogma was great, and it
yeah.
had George Carlin, who's like one of my
Yes.
favorite comedians ever.
Yeah.
So
And it had Chris Rock.
yes,
Chris Rock playing
had
the Black Apostle.
yeah, and Alan Rickman
Yes.
and his great, just like I'm a smarmy, British dude.
Yes. who plays a smarmy British angel.
Yep.
Since starting this conversation, we've lost 2 viewers,
Okay,
Nice.
great.
so that's fine.
Perfect.
All right, well, giving the people what they want.
So if you listen
care
over
what
the
people want.
weekend, Iron Halo was this weekend in
Yes.
Bartlesville.
What's Iron Halo?
Shut up.
It gives you a 4+ invulnerable save.
Not a 3+ on con on a bike?
Nope.
Oh my god!
Are we sure?
No, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Pretty sure
Sorry.
that happened before. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that was an old rule, I think.
It's an older meme, sir, but it checks out.
It was won by Orcs with Nick. Very typical.
Sutherland.
If you watch the
That's hilarious. I had no idea who won. After,
Oh, it was Nick Sutherland.
after the one thing that happened, I stopped paying attention.
Yeah, I was like, I
Get to
just
that.
checked out. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I did. I just checked
thanks
it out.
for supporting, John.
Hey, you're welcome. Hey, I told you guys I was busy that round. That's why I didn't shoutcast it.
Yeah, I know. And you were watching on silent.
I was.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because I was administering a practice test for the high school entrance exam.
There
And
you go.
that literally is just me sitting there with a clck.
Oh yeah. I remember those exams.
Yeah, so
Must be exciting.
it's not.
So it was won by Orcs. Nick Sutherland with Orcs. Just the typical Orc list at this point with the 3 shock attack guns.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, there was if you watch the 4th round where John and I were shoutcasting. One of the players, and all you have to do is watch it to see what happened, which was Matt Root.
Wait. We were asked to shoutcast?
That's what it's called.
Oh,
It's called shoutcasting.
I thought we were shit talking.
Same thing.
Okay.
At least the way we do it.
Okay.
Yeah, the way we do it, it's the same thing.
Right. Okay. Good.
Or hobby shame. We also hobby shame.
We
I
do
would
hobby
hate-
shame a lot.
I would hate to besmirch our good name.
Yeah.
You know what? If
Yeah,
you're gonna bring trash to the table, you're gonna get hobby shamed.
Yep.
And if you're gonna wear a shirt where the last name on the back is Baby Maker, I'm gonna make fun of you, and you don't get a say. Sorry.
Well, especially because you don't know we're doing it until afterwards.
Yeah, but whatever. You can find me at LVO if you have a problem with it.
Yeah, we're not hard to miss.
I will tell you to your face that shirt is stupid.
Yep.
But what ended up happening was Matt had some. He was playing White Scars with models. Well, first of all, the whole army was. I don't
He
think
was
there was a
Playing
in any
white,
of that
black,
army.
Templar, Emperor's Children, Chaos
Purple.
Stars,
Yeah,
Scars.
scars. So taking the ultra scars to the extreme, basically.
That doesn't even qualify as in the same category as Ultra Scars. Because at least Ultra Scars were all blue. They're all the same.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know
he's
what
way
that
more
army was, but it was a hodgepodge, that's for sure.
hodgepodge scars. But and as Pyro Weasel mentions, Pure Chaos Knights came in 7th.
Hey,
Cool, 7th place.
There was
out of 104, that's not terrible.
Yeah. Is Pyro Weasel saying that because Pyro Weasel is the Chaos Knight player who came in 7th?
Maybe.
If
I don't know.
so, then Pyro Weasel, congratulations. If not, nobody gives a fuck about 7th place.
If Fusehead wants to see a shoutcast and shit talking Venn diagram,
I believe they fully overlap. I believe it is just a one circle. It is a one circle Venn diagram, the best kind.
so as John mentioned, during the course of the game, we came to see purple Emperor's Children grab
Devastators. Grab
Devastators.
yeah.
But I mean, they had the right weapon, I believe.
They did.
I don't
Oh, yeah,
know.
they were modeled properly.
He had that going for him, at least.
Eh,
It could have been a different chapter.
sure.
But I don't think they had any markings to designate what they were anyway. So we just assume Emperor's Children.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is that his assault centurions were Chaos Obliterators, which were in turn Skaven Storm Fiends. converted to look like obliterators, which were being proxied as assault centurions.
Everyone following that?
Yeah.
I followed you up until the point where you said something I didn't recognize. You said something about an age of something, a Sigmar. I don't know what that is.
What's a Sigmar?
What's a Sigmar?
What's an age? And no, I'm not gonna say it would normally be fine, but for one thing he didn't do is he didn't get the models okayed by the TO.
Correct. And I'm willing to bet the TO would have said fine.
Yeah, probably been like, sure, I guess. Right.
At LVO, we would not have said fine.
No, I would have said no.
But
I'm not the
but
TO.
to each his own, and I would not have said fine.
Right, because there wasn't even a question as to what they were. It wasn't like, oh, they kind of look like assault. No, they look like obliterators.
Yes,
They
they do look like obliterators.
They're very
would
good
have been
obliterator conversions.
More like a Devastator Centurions, not Assault Centurions.
Yeah, even then, you could maybe make an argument for that, for Devastator Centurions.
I mean, I can make the argument.
Yeah, it's
And it's definitely a better argument than Assault Centurions.
Yes. Their guns are their fists, and their fists are their guns. So this brings up just basically, and his models were pulled, as well as the termite drill. Well, it wasn't a termite drill. It was a drill, a third-party drill that he was using as a drop pod.
That got pulled?
That got pulled also.
Wow, see, that surprises me.
Oh, it did? Oh.
It wasn't the right dimensions for a drop pod.
See, that surprises me. I probably would allow it as long as if the opponent's like, hey, I need to be able to see that, you're like, sure.
Right.
I mean, because the drill thing has been allowed for a long time. That specific drill in particular has been allowed as a drop pod since like 6th edition.
Right.
Well, I haven't seen that in a long time.
I mean, I had to play against it all the time.
Right,
6th
but
edition. It was at two LVOs. It was at 6th edition and at the first 7th edition LVO. I know it for a fact.
Yeah, I haven't. I mean,
we can be critical of whatever the hell we want, Fusehead, whether or not we can pronounce anything. And I don't know who mispronounced obliterators, but it was probably Adam.
It wasn't me. I don't know how to pronounce obliterators.
Well, if it was me, then we double get to say whatever the fuck we want. Are you a first-time listener?
So his models got pulled. He decided to just drop from the game and then just drop from the event.
Right. A lot of people were like, he dropped from the round, he dropped from the event, he dropped from the event. No, he just dropped from the game.
He dropped from the game and then decided to drop from the event.
Yes.
He was given the option that if you were to find a basically better looking, I almost want to say obliterators, better looking.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Assault Centurions.
Yeah.
Then they would have been okay, but there was only one game left. He had a draw already. He probably would have lost that game now that he lost his punch. Because at the time he was playing against Tau, and he was about to assault with the assaulted Centurions, and that's when the models got pulled.
Yeah, that was the coup de grace, right? Like that was gonna just be the knockout blow.
Yeah, he'd won the game if that charge goes off.
Yeah, and for us anyway, doing the shoutcast, we hadn't seen them until he had put them on the table.
Right.
With all their chaos symbols and their ratness.
And only one of the people on the shoutcast, by the way, said anything about they should be pulled, and it was not the salty one. It was the old man.
Well, that's what
Latin
Gandalf.
I mean, I was disappointed because I really wanted the internet to be able to see what those Assault Centurions could do live.
Right.
And then saved in perpetuity. Like, I really wanted that to be proof for forever. Yeah, like that you could look to and see and watch those Assault Centurions rip through some stuff. Because they are nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially as White Scars. Like, if it's turn 3 and they're in combat, things are just getting fucking murdered.
I mean, that was only turn 2, but they're still going to be awesome. Yeah. And then the next turn, in turn 3, they wouldn't die because he's going to kill basically everything that could possibly touch them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So So and then like I said, he already had. I think he was at 2 wins or 3 wins. No, 2 wins and a draw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
both those players are 2 wins and a draw.
Yeah, at the time. And so I don't think he would have been able to like place high at that tournament to begin with.
No, so you might as well just bow out.
Especially if he got that loss from having the models pulled. So
yeah.
So it's just a lesson of making sure to get your models pre-approved if you feel that they might get pulled, they might be too different from the norm.
Make sure they're pre-approved.
The TO,
especially
Jason,
with streaming.
Yeah, the TO Jason Horn was very vocal about getting the word out about getting stuff approved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of hard not to get that stuff to prove. I know people are busy in their lives and stuff, but it doesn't take that long just to send some pictures over and say, "Hey, is this okay?"
Most of us have smartphones.
I mean, Matt's used to that after his playing Mechanicus Orcs for so long. But I think he was a little out of practice was the problem. He's a little out of practice getting things approved.
But I think that's also... No, go ahead, Danny.
I was going to say, I think it's just something that... I mean, LVO kind of started this ball rolling a little bit, at least in kind of, our sphere of influence. But, it's just the idea of, like, you need to have a certain standard of painting. And if you're going to do weird conversions, like, you can't do proxies. You need to do actual kind of conversions.
Right.
Right. And, a big part of that is that we're all streaming now, right? Like most large events have some kind of stream table set up. And it's just the reality of it looks shitty on stream, right? To have these models that you don't know what the fuck they are, or they're just models for a completely different range that have very little work done to them, right? Like it kind of ruins the experience, especially for more casual players who are just like logging in, or people who have no fucking idea what they're watching.
That's
right?
true too.
Yep. So I think it's just something that, I mean, because I love to convert and I love to make, weird ass models, but
yes,
yes, thank you. But I ask, even although unfortunately when Adam's my TO, I get the no.
But you still do it, so what?
Yeah, well, because you can't stop me. You can't stop me at RTTs. I asked you at Hammer. I didn't run anything janky at Hammer. Battle for LA, right?
No, because you played Tyranids to your detriment.
Oh, very much so. To my back's detriment more than anything.
What's a Biff pod? And why do I care that they have more viewers?
They're actually doing a battle report. So.
Oh, cool. Whatever.
Isn't that Best in Faction?
Yes.
Oh, that's a Biff pod? Okay, got it.
That's a Biff pod.
Cool, whatever. Hey, that's cool. They have more viewers doing their battle report. Watching 3 hours of 40K is a lot of fun when you don't get to play it.
Like watching guys. I mean, it's like when I watch baseball. I don't enjoy watching baseball, but I enjoy playing baseball.
The best part about Shoutcast in that game was that we got to get all kinds of shit talking in, and then it was done in like an hour.
Yeah. That was like game 5.
That was game 5 too. So.
I know. It was pretty great. Yeah.
Yeah, it went and hey, John, the player that went second won the game.
No.
Yeah.
No, the player that went first dropped.
That's not what the stats show. The scoreboard shows the player that went second won the game.
Sure.
My narrative.
Whatever you say for your narrative.
My narrative.
Yeah.
I'm just going to. That's what the stats say. It shows a W.
Sure. Yep.
So be sure you get your stuff checked out. In terms of gaming, what you do in your personal life is what you do in your personal life.
I mean, you should get your stuff checked out.
Yeah, you should. Yearly visit's not a bad idea.
Many of us are at that age. You gotta get your stuff checked out, man.
Yeah, one of us is getting closer to the age where you get the other stuff checked out that you don't want.
Have fun with that, Adam.
Yeah. Just lay back and think of England.
This place went weird fast.
Yeah. But what was I gonna say? Oh, I mean, I think again, to Matt's credit, in terms of his reactions online.
Oh,
he very much owned up to the fact of like, I didn't read the player packet. I didn't pay attention to the numerous Facebook email blasts, etc. This is my fault. So it is what it is. So that, and you know, that's just what it really comes down to. Like, if you're going to a large event or even a medium-sized event, read the player packet. Take 5 minutes of due diligence to know what's expected of you, what's going on, right? You know, if you don't do that, you can't be upset if something bad happens to you, right? Like, you really don't have a lot of leg to stand on of like, oh, what the fuck, man? What do you mean I can't play? I don't know. I only have, my army's not fully painted. What the fuck, man? It's like, oh, we've just been saying that for, you know, the past month.
Yep.
Right? Like, that's just been clearly printed. So, you know, like, fuck off, guy, right? Sorry. I'm sorry you failed to comprehend something, or probably failed to just take the fucking time to read something. You know?
Yeah.
And then expect to get like a special snowflake exception because for whatever reason you think you deserve one.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't expect that, so that's good.
Yeah, he was like, okay. And
then he totally owned it online, like you're saying. My fault, which is exactly what you want. You don't want a retirement tour.
Yeah.
You don't want
the apology video
in the car. You don't need the apology tour on 15 podcasts. You just, hey, man, I messed up. Sorry.
And what's key about this, too, is it's not just the public face of like what he says in public kind of forums. Right. We're in a private chat with him, and even then he's like, yep. And we were trolling him about it. Like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, we totally were.
And he's like, yeah, I fucked up. Right. It was
some of us harder than others, and by some of us harder, I don't mean me, actually, for once.
Yeah. No, you mean you. I think it was you.
I was not the one doing it. It was all you. You're the one who was saying it on the cast, too.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, whatever.
Can you provide evidence of this, please?
Yeah.
Sure, go watch the Twistcast.
That's okay.
Anywho, go get your proxies, or go get your conversions, not proxies, right? Conversions.
Get your stuff approved.
Well, no, the proxies, well, we don't normally allow proxies, but sometimes some people want to use proxies. But
proxies aren't allowed. Conversions are different.
Some places allow proxies, but make sure that you get those approved too.
Yeah.
Because usually with proxies, if it's just one model and it's a unique model and you don't have any other model like that in your army, it might be allowed. Just depends on the TO.
Yeah.
No. It just, it does depend, yeah. So, yeah, Fusehead is correct. Matt Root was super cool about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep,
so, he's not going... And he can't go on his retirement tour because he got models pulled. It wasn't on a good... You have to wait till it goes on a good stream.
That's right. You have to retire after having done well-ish.
Well, at least nothing, like, troubling. Even win or lose, though.
Right. Okay.
It's fine.
All right, moving on.
Moving on up. We also had everyone remember we had the fall FAQ, which really didn't do anything. We had a
couple memes about that. If you watch carefully,
Space Marine. We had like a Space Marine update that updated a lot of the chapter specific codexes, like Death Watch, Blood Angels, Space Wolves.
Yeah. It was
more importantly, updated. It's kind of stealth because they didn't really announce it. They didn't do it. They did it like a few days later.
Yeah.
But one of them includes the Imperial Armor book, and includes the update for the Scorpius Whirlwind and the Hyperos. But most people are concerned about the Scorpius because
it's so good.
But you can still fire it twice, right?
Yeah.
Well, it does that on its own.
Right, so, come on, guys. You're still firing it twice. And it's still better than a regular Whirlwind.
But, John, I wanted to fire it 3 times, and always on 2s with Kronos.
Well, just do it in Iron Hands and Ferios, and you make it BS2 plus, and let it fire twice.
So what they did, basically, was they removed the Whirlwind keyword from the Whirlwind Scorpius.
Yeah.
So it's still called Whirlwind Scorpius.
On the title, but not the keywords.
Right. Well, there's the keyword Whirlwind Scorpius too.
Right, but not Whirlwind.
But not Whirlwind.
Right.
Which is important.
Right, because the rules for it, the strat says Whirlwind, not Whirlwind Scorpius.
Because there's also the strat. I think it's still in the codex of where if you had a land speeder, you can auto hit. You auto hit with whatever you shoot, whichever
Yes.
whirlwind you shoot with.
Yeah. I remember thinking the keyword thing was like an elegant solution to special rules, and they are proving me wrong.
Why is that?
Because it seems like they're just not thinking through the keywords. So there's just as many problems as there were with special rules because they're not thinking through the keywords they use. They're not thinking through like, hey, we're going to use this stratagem and it's for all things keyword of this. And then they have to fix it later. No, remove this keyword from this unit because we didn't want that to work with that after all. I mean,
or
come
it's
on.
too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, because because people are using, for those that don't know, people are using the stratagem to shoot again with the whirlwind, with the Scorpius, which doesn't let it shoot twice, but still you get to shoot basically 3 times.
Right.
Yeah. With Chronos inside, maybe.
With Chronos inside.
What is a Scar Red cast? Ska Red? What is a Ska Red? Are they casting weird ska music? I don't understand. You should explain that to me in the chat, Dayton. I don't know what a Ska Red cast is.
You sure it's not scared? He's not
Is it
scared.
scared? Scared? It could be scared. Are they so scared they're going to cry cast? Is that what it is? I mean, that could be right. Oh, some Canadian Dark Eldar dude. Oh, Scary. You spelled Scary wrong. I didn't recognize it because you didn't use the I.
Oh, that's right. He's with an eye.
I didn't know who he was talking about.
Sorry. So that's I think that was the only big update. Everything else was just kind of updating who gets Angels of Death, who gets hatred, eternal hatred, or whatever it's called for chaos.
Who does?
I don't know. I didn't pay attention.
I didn't pay attention to it.
All Chaos Space Marines, so not cultists.
Yep.
Cultists continuing to get the shaft after,
I know, right?
after having a half of an edition of being great. Hey man, you got to rebalance that checkbook somehow if you're GW.
Like, we sold enough cultist models. Let's
That's
move on to new things.
Enough
Correct.
of those 5-pack cultist
I
models.
mean, people keep saying they don't do that, but
No,
we know-
absolutely.
we-
I mean,
They
come,
do,
come
yeah.
on,
Oh.
come on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Be
think
real.
anyone who honestly believes that they don't have like just very little concept of like I mean, I'll put it this way.
Right.
If we were talking 25 years ago when it was just some dudes running this show,
Yeah,
then yeah.
sure,
But
right.
they are a multinational multi-million dollar company.
Mhm.
They absolutely care about the bottom line more than anything else. And so if they're like, oh, hey, if we make this really good, we can sell these models. Yeah, we're going to fucking do that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The same way that they're not going to tone something down that's too strong if it's a bunch of new kits.
Right.
Because they'll
tone it down
they're
once
not
the
gonna,
new kits are all sold.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. They're going to
Right,
wait.
right,
They're,
yeah.
they don't want the Gorkanaut Morkanaut situation, right? Where it's like, hey,
God,
we've got
that
this
was
brand
the
new, like,
worst decision
super
ever.
ultra amazing model,
Feels
brand
nice.
new plastic kit, and then like it's like, wow, these rules are fucking trash, and the same ones that the hardcore players didn't immediately buy are sitting there on the shelf for years.
Yeah, because like who bought a Gorkanaut Morkanaut? All the people who believed all of the hype that it was going to be amazing, and then were super pissed off because there were actually no rumors that were real at the time because nobody was getting previews.
Right.
So it was all literally, hey, they announced Gorkanaut Morkanaut. And then it was people who were like, oh my god, these are going to be great. I bet they do this, this, and this, and this. And everybody heard the I bet part as they're going to do.
Right.
And so they bought bunches of Gorkanauts and Morkanauts on pre-order and then got the rules like 2 weeks later, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't the codex came out after the freaking models.
That's the release that I guess they tried. Hey, let's try releasing the models first, and
Right.
then the rules. And they released the rules they did like a whole month of Orc releases because
Yes.
it was the new Flash kits.
Yeah, it was 6th edition, yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
new Gorkanaut Morkanaut.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are a couple other new kits.
Wasn't the plane new?
No, I think the plane was early 6. I think the plane. I don't think the plane was new.
The plane wasn't new, no. That had already been around.
But they were like new Flash kits. The Ludas I think were new.
Yeah.
The Ludas were new, yeah.
Yeah. Fusehead 23 is definitely new to the podcast. He said, John sounds like my grandpa asking me about a band when I was doing the Scary thing.
Yeah. John is okay for our new listener. Thanks for tuning in. Hi, John is a sea lion, and
I am no such thing. What's a sea lion?
You shut the fuck up, right?
No,
now.
explain. You do have to explain the sea lion.
I'm clearly on the screen as a human being. What do you mean sea lion? I'm right there
John
on the screen, and I'm a human being.
Yeah.
I'm not a sea lion. I'm looking at my beautiful face. I'm not a sea lion. I'm a human
That
being.
is true in terms of you being narcissistic.
What's narcissistic mean?
So sea lion is basically...
Anyway.
Danny, explain what the sea lion
We really need
A
Tom
sea
here for
lion
this.
is when you when you sea lion someone, you feign ignorance on the topic in order to get them to explain, and then ask leading questions designed to derail their explanation and show the fallacies inherent to it.
Yeah, I never get to that part. I just like asking the questions to piss people off. I never get to the derailing your argument part because I never do it in an argument.
Yeah, you just do it to random people. Who are like, oh, well, it's this podcast. Oh, what? What's a podcast? You're fucking doing one right now. What?
The best person
I'm
to
not
do
that
it to
blatant. Come on.
is actually Tom, who's not on right now.
Yeah, because Tom will just
So
go into
gullible.
detail to explain stuff, and I can sit back.
Tom
Because
is
he's
very
so desperate to talk.
and he's very innocent.
Damn, man.
Desperate.
He will admit that. He will.
Why
he
are we
will
so
go
damn
default
savage to each other? We have plenty of other people to savage.
Because that's the best fun.
Yeah, because we can take it.
I think Fusehead might have missed the part where we said I was the Alex Jones of this podcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
I don't think he was. I
This
don't
is
think he
all
was here for
performance
that.
art.
It's all performance art. Yes.
Yeah, M actor.
Yeah.
Yes.
I won't go that far.
Anyway, what were we talking about? The Space Marine FAQ.
Nobody cares.
We
shit
were.
about Space
Oh,
Marines.
working on.
Oh,
Did,
yeah.
did the Space Marine
Mike-
FAQ do anything to Iron Hands? No, so nobody
No.
cares. Move on.
But it hasn't come. Their specific FAQ hasn't come out.
They're
yet,
not getting a
so-
specific FAQ.
Right.
Yes, we are. Just it probably won't.
If they do, it's not going to nerf
them.
them.
Yeah.
It's not
No,
going to nerf
maybe
them.
they'll
They got to
make 'em
sell
better.
all those executioners. It ain't going to nerf them.
No, they will nerf them because they're going to wait for it to come out until they reach their numbers.
No, they're going
Then
to
they'll
put
release
they're going to put out the Iron Hands FAQ. Then they will nerf them with chapter approved.
No, because chapter approval already went to print back in
Yeah.
July.
Oh, okay. So then we're not
Not
getting a
July,
nerf for them
not
till
that
after LVO. Perfect. Iron Hands win LVO. We're calling it right now.
It
Bold
may-
prediction.
Depending-
Okay, either they win LVO or over 50% of the field is Space Marine players.
so would you think it'll reach Grey Knight levels?
Grey Knights were
Grey
never
Knights.
50% of the field.
No, but they were a
I
lot.
think the most
I mean,
they were like a third, which is 33% is a ton. Like
Yeah.
33% of
I
the
won't.
field
I don't
is
know if I'll
nuts.
say 50%, but I will go with like a solid like 40. Right.
So over a third.
Yeah,
Over a third,
I'm
but
willing
under
to
half.
bet that LVO will be over a third Space Marines. Under a half, but over a third.
Okay, because I was being outlandish saying 50, I will definitely say you're probably going to be right.
Yeah. I think that's probably the safe bet just because everybody has Space Marines. There's lots of casual players who, again, are like the lifeblood of any major event who play Space Marines like Space Marines. And now that they're good, there's even more reason to bring them. Right? Especially, if you're a casual player, like all of a sudden it's like, wow, this army's really good and I'm starting to win more games. And even if you don't care about like, I'm going to be best in faction, I'm going to win, I'm going to be the top of whatever, it's still nice to win when you play.
It's always
So
nice
they're
to
going to
not
be
suck.
like,
Yeah, it's nice. I can tell you, I've won 2 games. It's nice to win.
You've been
Yeah, I
playing
was on a
Space
roll in the
Marines?
league.
No, which is why that makes that win even better.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you playing in the league? I forgot.
Okay, we'll go into the league because that goes somewhat into what Space Marines. So in this league, I'm playing Chaos Space Marines. I'm taking originally I was going to take a skewed list that was only 5 models, designed by our local
that's right.
skew list master of Tim.
Mm-hmm.
But I got scared.
Who you'll always know is the Tim we're talking about at an event because you will be playing some janky, weird ass shit across the table from you.
So I couldn't go full skewed, and instead it's 3 Disco Lords, Flawless Host with Mortarion, Demon Prince, Abaddon, Scorpius, Sea Beam Dread. And
Does your
3
Scorpius shoot 2 times or 3 times?
It only shoots 2.
Oh
I'm not
man,
Ultramarines.
broke.
So we're just starting our new leagues, our new heat is what Jeff calls it. And I've played against Gene Stealer Cult, which I won by 2 points. And my first game was against another skew list that was 3 Storm Surges and a bunch of 3 Storm Surges and a Tau Brigade, which was
Tau
odd.
Brigade?
Yeah, he took a Sasea
Yeah, he takes a
Brigade,
brigade.
and
Oh,
then
wow.
3
He takes
Storm
everything
Surges.
needed to do a minimum brigade. I played that list too. I lost to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, John played last list too.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 wins so far. I have 3 more games to go.
Nice.
But more importantly, Danny,
Danny with his
he
iron hands.
love Tyranids.
I do. They're deep in my heart.
Wait, you're not playing iron hands in the league?
No, I absolutely am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just don't get to count them as wins, right?
Nice. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah. I'm 0-0 right now with my iron hands.
What are you really, 2-0?
2-0.
Okay. What's in
I
your
beat
list?
Tom. Yeah.
Yeah.
With a really
yeah.
suboptimal list, I beat Tom by 1 point.
And he was playing
then
Space Marines too, full disclaimer.
He was, yeah.
Not Iron Hands, Ultramarines, but still.
Yeah.
a good
No,
list.
he was playing Raven Guard. We were testing out the
Oh,
Raven
I thought he
Guard
was playing the
Iron
Ultramarine
Hand
list he played
leagues.
against me.
Yeah, no, we were playing the Raven Guard Iron Hand based off the leaks. So like, I didn't have all the stratagems. He didn't. We were just kind of operating on what we knew. And so I snaked that 27 to 26.
Nice.
And then I played a local guy, Nikhil, with his Eldari, which was 3 Fire Prisms, 3 Night Spinners, 3 Exarch, Crimson Hunter Exarchs, 3 Ravagers. And I absolutely blew him off the table with my triple Executioner, triple Whirlwind Iron Hands list.
Yeah, I think yours is different because you have the 3 Whirlwinds.
Yeah, I love the Whirlwinds. They don't shoot a lot, but just the fact that they have 72-inch range and I can shoot at whatever I want, and they're still strength 7, damage 2, AP -2 because I'm always in the Devastator Doctrine. Like, they put in work. You know?
So you chose them instead of the Thunderfire cannons, which is what most people take.
Thunderfire cannons are better anti-infantry, but I don't really need, honestly. Like, that's the thing about the Executioners. The Executioners are...
They're also much harder to find to purchase.
Well, yes, that was also part of it. But Executioners are only have 1 big punch for armor, and it's a great punch. The laser cannon's amazing, but the rest of their shots are all strength 5 and strength 4. So they're and they pump out like 40+ shots. So the Executioners are great at chewing through infantry. I don't really have a problem with that. I needed that little extra, anti-medium and out of LOS shooting, and that's what the Whirlwinds give me for really dirt cheap. And they're fast, so if I really need to, like, for whatever reason, get as close as possible, they can move really far, and Thunderfire cannons can't. Right? They move 3. So I can always the Whirlwinds can always keep pace with the Tetsudo of the 3 Executioners and the characters kind of huddled in the middle of them. So
in that game you went first with Nikhil, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had the +1 to go first. He won the roll off, but I seized. And so that was immediately the moment I seized. It was like, okay. And then, but we talked. After we played, we were talking out, and he's, we kind of did the math, and he's like, I still, if he went first, he's like, I'm still pretty sure I lose because I'll kill 1 Executioner, then you hit me, and you're gonna do damage, and then, as we know, once I'm damaged, I'm not killing another Executioner on 1 turn outside of bad dice, and I heal back up, and then I do even more damage, and it's just the longer the game goes, the attrition war, because it's vehicles on vehicles, goes to me.
Right.
Right, like, and it would have been a lot longer game, he would have scored a lot more. There's always the chance for swing of dice, or I make a really bad play, right, and he capitalizes on it, etc., 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 but, like, the first... it's also one of those things of, like, the first turn, I killed I basically targeted his engineer immediately.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to deny you 4 points. Right?
Yeah.
And I killed them immediately. Never even got to score it because it was, like, okay, you're taking executioners. I have a lot of long-range shooting and out-of-LOS shooting, so, bye.
Yeah, I don't know why you choose engineers against that list.
I think he was relying on the Wave Serpent to be more survivable than it was.
Oh, he chose a Wave Serpent. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Like, he chose a Wave Serpent and a Night Spinner, and the Night Spinners weren't all that great against my list because they don't do a lot of damage.
Doesn't the engineers have to be a multi-model unit?
No, because Sentinels can be engineers.
Yeah, I think it just says that you pick
I'm gonna look that one up.
Yeah.
Continue.
But any case, there's definitely, like, playing the list is, you definitely get the sense of, like, oh, so, especially coming from, like, playing my Jank Chaos or playing Tyranids, of, like, oh, so this is what power feels like. Interesting. This is what it's like to not be afraid.
Yeah, I haven't played against it yet, but after I've seen it in action enough, and even regular Space Marines, because I've watched Tom play his Ultramarines, although I think Tom is switching to Iron Hands also.
He is. I managed to convince him.
And then
in his first game he played, he was clearly drunk on power with it.
Yeah, 2 engineers it's like 2 non-character, non-fortifications. I was thinking of King of the Hill. King of the Hill is 2 non-character multi-model units.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like my list. If I could use vehicles, my list would love King of the Hill because in some matchups, because I can just take over the center and park there. But I can still kind of do it if I actually ditch out my aggressors that I have hiding as like my counter assault unit, and then a unit of scouts to kind of hang out. But it's usually not worth it. I guess if I was really stuck of like, well, fuck, what do I take? Then I might do that.
Right. Yeah, because I think even someone was telling me that a lot of the top players are ditching the armies they normally play to play Space Marines at this point. So
yeah, I mean that's
telling.
That's always my test of like, is a codex legitimately like good or scary? Is look at the top, the usual personalities, right, and look at what they're bringing to major events, and that'll tell you if it's good, right? Like for all the ballyhoo about like, oh, GSC, like they're not that great. Like you see a lot of top players play GSC because they are actually very good.
Right.
With Space Marines out now, probably not though. Right. It's just because
right. Yes.
Infiltrators and Phobos captains basically tell Gene Stars like, oh hey, your cute tricks, fuck off. Yeah. Like how your army functions as a alpha strike, and that's kind of how you have to play, otherwise you just get blown off the table. Yeah, fuck off. Right.
Yeah.
Like, oh, your flamer bomb's cute. Have fun deploying outside of 12.
Yeah.
But I used the strat. Doesn't matter.
So we'll see. If nothing changes going into LVO, it may be a repeat of the Yanari issue we had 2 years ago.
Replace Yanari with Space Marines. That's probably accurate.
Yeah, it's probably going to be very similar, yes.
Where like 5 of the 8 were maybe not Yanari, but they're all Eldar.
Yeah, 5 of the 8 will probably be some version of Space Marine or Imperium that has Space Marines in it.
So
yeah, that's the thing.
We're playing 30K.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yep. I'm going to paint my Black Legion in sea green or whatever that weird...
Oh my god, yeah.
And I'll just play him as a Space Marine and we'll just play 30K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Perfect.
Fusehead wants to know if, as judges, we heard about the rules update to SoCal Open regarding flyers.
Yes.
Rule update. We're the ones that helped write it.
Although Reese still, I think I posted my amendment to clarify the
after he posted it,
language after he posted. So
it's fine.
Hopefully that makes it into the final.
Everybody got it though. They
document.
Understood.
Yeah, I know. I just hate seeing clunky writing.
Well, yeah, of course, Mr. Professor.
Yeah. Well. Especially if my name is anywhere vaguely attached to it, Jesus.
Well, we're not though with that. We're just on the code of conduct.
Our main thing's the code of conduct, but sometimes we'll help out.
Is our name on the missions? Our name's not on the missions, right?
Our names are on the missions, I believe.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yeah.
My name should be on King of the Hill. And
that, no one ever really takes.
Yeah, exactly. No, the other one was Pick Your Poison, remember? That was
yeah.
Pick your poison.
We tried so hard to really make that work. It's like the anti-Eldar, right? And like to give like a.
I think
it
does work pretty well as anti-Eldar.
Nobody takes it though. Still,
I've used it a couple times against Eldar.
Nobody takes it because you can't double up on keywords. If you could double up on keywords, more people would take it.
That does make it difficult, not being able to double up. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well,
yes,
I
we
mean,
had heard about the ruling.
The usual. Right.
Our opinion is it is correct.
It's for.
Well, SoCal Open's kind of weird because it's almost like a test bed for LVO.
Yeah, right. I mean, it could end up being the. They get rid of it. I mean,
Yeah.
The thing is, you need to make sure that your events and all events are what the average player wants.
Yes.
And I made this point in my article about standardized terrain that I wrote the last week, which is you have to design your event, and anything you're going to input into an event or change in terms of format needs to be designed with the average player in mind because they pay your bills.
Yes.
They're the people who make the event go. If you only cater to the top 10% most competitive group, one, the game's going to be boring as hell because they want you to remove as much as possible all the things that are going to make the game more difficult for them to play. Because they want the game to be as much as possible their specific decisions in game and all other factors out. Anything that's outside the game. You know what I mean? Like they want to be able to control all factors possible so they can know and quantify it and play it.
Right. They want all variables removed because that's where skill, that's where they can leverage their skill and their skill.
Not understanding that there's a certain amount of skill that can go into choosing your deployment zone.
Yes.
Like
that's a huge thing. Like that's why I've always been, I don't like standardized terrain.
No.
Like especially like there's one table to rule them all, and I don't like.
Right. That's not good.
And I don't like the. What's the other thing that sometimes people like complain about that they want with deployment of
symmetrical.
Symmetrical deployment.
Totally symmetrical terrain.
Yeah, because like winning the roll off to choose your deployment zone. Right, should be an important thing.
Matter.
If you look at,
especially if you're using. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No. Oh no. Go ahead.
I was going to say
you seem passionate.
It is especially important if you are using the chapter approved deployment, where when you win the roll, you choose your zone, but the other player gets to deploy first and go first if they choose to.
Right.
Because in that case, you've won the roll. So it should matter that you're getting to pick the zone. If it's symmetrical, and then what everybody complains about with that is, I won the roll, so I lost the game because I don't get to go first. But if the board is not symmetrically set up, you then have an advantage because you get to pick your zone, and your opponent does not. So you can pick the side which benefits you going second most.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No, I agree, and like
when it's not symmetrical, or when it is symmetrical, I mean.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can. It's one of the few things that I will say, and that ETC demonstrates very well in terms of player skill is when you get your matchups right. The defender gets to pick their table, and that it can absolutely change a matchup, right? Like if you get to pick the table,
right.
If the tables are all the same and it's a symmetrical layout, then that tactical decision no longer applies, right? That just ceases to exist, which, it's a facet of the game. It's like the way, maybe it's still salty about because I can still kind of do it of like when guess ranges went out, right? Like and you couldn't pre-measure, right? Like that was a skill, that was a competitive skill you had to develop of being able to eyeball ranges. Mm-hmm. Right,
and that charge is definitely 6 inches, and then you're like, crap, it's not, it's 7, so I failed my charge. Because every charge was 6 inches, and you couldn't pre-measure.
Yep.
Yeah,
There's anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we've discussed it before, and I've discussed it because the symmetrical table has come up a lot lately. Mm-hmm. I prefer maybe if there is a set design, like a number of set designs.
Yeah, like we did at LVO.
But then
that's fine.
But then they're spread out throughout, so you kind of know what's there, but you don't know if you're going to be at those tables.
Right. You don't know if you're going to be at Necron or Orc or Tau or Wasteland or anything like that.
And you know there's going to be a big central piece, but you don't know how big it's going to be.
Right.
Like it might be giant GW Cathedral size. It might be big square box FLG size. It might be 2-layer Necron size, which is not as big.
Right.
It might be Orc size, which is even smaller. You don't know exactly what it is you're going to play on next round, which is nice. I like that a lot. I think that's a good setup.
Yeah. I don't think it's reasonable, especially at large tournaments, to expect TOs to be able to build 100, 200, 300 unique tables.
No.
Right? Like, that's unreasonable. But having, 5 to 10 setups, I think is. Right?
And also, I think, part of the thing was, and I guess Reese got a little bit of flack about this in his email, was that I kind of called out the one guy who was making this terrain, and I was like, I mean, the terrain's fine, it's functional, but it doesn't look great.
No.
Like, you can't remove the aesthetic part of the game in favor of let's make it as standardized and competitive as possible, because, again, to loop back to the original part of the conversation, not only are you War Machine, you are removing what the majority of players want out of the game. And the majority of the players are the ones who come and pay the bills.
No, absolutely. I mean, all of this might come up in an article that may or may not eventually come out. Sure. But, like, the thing about 40K is, like, it is a tactile, aesthetic, social experience, right? Like, it is not just a game that you play. It's not StarCraft. It's not, like, some shit you can play on your phone.
It's not League of Legends.
There are many levels of it that what make it pleasing and engaging to us that do it, that are you cannot remove in the favor of quote-unquote competitiveness, because that loses the flavor for 90% of your player base, right? Because, again, like, the vast majority of people who play this game and who are going to come to your events do not give a fuck about being the best player.
Right.
They're like, I get a weekend away from my family or my kids or abilities. I get to play this game. I get to talk and hang out with people that I only see once or twice a year.
And maybe if I do well enough, I get some kind of prize.
Right. Yeah.
Or bragging rights in my group.
Right. Yeah. Or I just get to get trashed, right? Like, I just get to get day drunk for, like,
but they're not concerned about, like, I need to make sure that the map I'm playing on is perfectly symmetrical, so I have the best chance possible, so as many factors are removed as possible. I mean, it's just, And to loop it back around, I think that the decision about the Flyers was the correct one, because the people putting those hover tanks and shit up on top of that terrain gave a lot of people the feel bads.
Yes.
Well, explain
I understand. So the rule is, if it fits, it sits. Which anybody who can read English should automatically know exactly what that means. If the base of the Flyer can fit on the ruin, it's only for ruins, then it can stay there. If any part of it hangs over, it can't. If you're talking about a vehicle that uses, instead of a base, the actual hull of the model for measurement, then the hull needs to be fully on the level of the ruin. If not, it can't be there. And I don't think I have it in one of the memes. I might have it in one of the memes. I don't remember. It might be in there, where there's, like, the executioners up on top of this L, sitting on top of this L, 3 stories up, and the Iron Hands player is like, cool, I get to shoot everything on the board now.
Yep, and I can't be charged because you've got to get up to this distance, and I've got -2, so fuck you, right? Like,
yeah, it's like a major, like, okay, yes, could you by raw do that because of the fly keyword and the way it's written? Sure. Should you be allowed to do that? Probably not. And they aired on no, probably not. Let's not allow you to do that, because you shouldn't be unchargeable, and your executioner should not be able to go up where it can shoot everything on the board, because that clearly, more than likely, was not the intent of giving those tanks fly.
Right.
Like, I do not believe for one fucking second that the people who wrote the Iron Hands supplement envisioned that those tanks having fly meant they could sit up on top of 3-story tall ruins and see the entire board. I do not for 1 second believe that. I just don't. And if you can legitimately be like, yeah, you can't do that, then cool. Don't have it in there.
Yeah, it's only really become a problem since the Caladius tanks we're starting to see use.
Yes.
Right. because Caladiuses can do that quite well.
Yeah, and then now with the Iron Hands supplement with the Executioners, you're seeing it a lot more now, and you saw it with Flyers. Now that everyone's bringing out numerous Flyers, and this big FAQ really didn't do anything to Flyers, so we don't know if they're going to do anything in chapter approved. So
yeah, the big
currently
rumor.
Currently it's an issue.
Yeah.
What's the rumor, Danny?
The rumor that I keep hearing, which I think is just wish listing hard to make other people believe it, is that Flyers are going to go down to 0 and 0-3 in your army.
We've been hearing that since the beginning of 8th, when we had the problem with the frickin' Flyer that nobody takes from Space Marines anymore. The one that everybody was like, I'm going to take 8 of these, and they're like, yeah, boots on the ground.
Yeah.
They've been talking about 0 to 3 for forever.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think it's just a reoccurring wish list that occasionally pops up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Neil says that balancing Flyers and on the L's was the bane of his games at ETC.
Okay, but legitimately at ETC, the terrain isn't thick enough for you to do that, because wouldn't it collapse the terrain? Because it's thin terrain. Like, I understand
the terrain at ETC.
it's very thin.
because
it's very thin type of
right, but
cardstock and foam built, right? So, like, I mean, wouldn't those Flyers have been like knocking them over if he tried to balance them?
He's claiming wobbly model plus the Flyer.
What you should have done, Neil? You should have walked up to the table and been like, "Okay, fine, try to balance it."
Yeah.
And then when it couldn't balance on the terrain because it's not very heavy, and this is not a knock on your terrain, I'm just saying, like, it's not thick terrain for the most part. Have them balance it, and when it falls over and their plane breaks, be like, well, I guess sure, wobbly model.
I guess you're right.
YOLO, walk off. I mean, I get really tired of. And I understand why players do, but I get really tired of by Raw I can do this stupid ass thing that I shouldn't be allowed to do, so let me do it.
Right.
And at first in 8th, we had a system because there were not a lot of codexes out and stuff. There was not a lot of that. And the FAQs came out more often, which were like, haha, yeah, no.
Right.
But now we have to wait. And anytime you've got to wait for this stuff, we end up with the situation of, okay, now we have to live with this for a while. But yeah, okay, Raw, fine. But I just really don't like the idea that, like, oh, I can make this argument that my Caladius tank or my Executioner hover tank has fly, so I can be 3 stories up on this piece of terrain, and you can't assault me, and I can shoot everything on the board, when clearly I'm not supposed to do that.
And what's funny is it's not even the fact that they can, because normally if it's 3 stories or really high, they normally can't move that high. The fact is that they set up those models on there, and they just stay there the whole game.
Right, you just deploy on top of it, and you're like,
Right, because they have the fly keyword, so they can end their movement on a level that's other than ruins.
Right.
The bottom floor of ruins.
Yeah. Anyways,
that's part of the issue.
Yes, we obviously think this was the correct decision.
Yeah.
Could we be wrong? Sure. We could absolutely be wrong. Maybe you go to SoCal and it was a terrible decision because it had an effect on something we did not foresee. Is that possible? Absolutely possible. Do I think that is likely? I do not.
Neil said he let them do it, but Gorka Morka rules were in effect.
Nice. There you go.
Amazing. Very well done. I applaud you, sir.
That's good.
Excellent.
For those that don't know, the Gorka Morka rule was that if it fell out, it's dead.
Yes. From second, right?
Well,
you could pile all the boys you wanted on top of the thing, and as you moved it, you had to move it across the table. Things that fell out died.
Yeah, in second there was you can get an orc battle wagon, and its capacity was as many boys as you can fit in it. But if any boys fell out of it, they were considered dead.
Right. So you could pile like 100 boys up on top of it, but as you moved it across the table, anything that fell off died.
Yes.
Those were good. Those are simpler times.
I mean, sure, and yes and no.
No, they were not simpler by any stretch of the imagination.
That's also the time where like an army was like 10 models.
Yeah. When armies were moving Marines.
And it was calculus to figure out damage penetration.
Oh my god, I remember that.
Yeah, they still use like D8s and D4s for damage and armor penetration. I remember. I still have. Yeah, those were good times. So that's where we're at with that ruling.
Yeah.
We'll see how. I mean, we're all Danny and I will be at SoCal Open. We'll actually be playing and not judging.
Yeah.
So get to play it, and I have no vehicles that fly. Danny has a 3, 4. I mean 3.
Yeah, this actually hurts me.
But it's not like you designed it with that and that you were going to do that in mind.
No, I don't care. I would probably not do it just because I'd be like,
that's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to see.
I mean, it's a good idea, but like, I mean, if you're like, I'm gonna do everything I can to win, like, totally makes sense. But like, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
That really wasn't something that was on my radar. I'm like, I can do this.
Yeah, so we'll see what we'll see how it goes. I mean, or how much of an issue it actually is, and we'll see if anything changes between now and LVO, because we still have the supplement FAQs, I believe. We still have 2 more supplements to come out, and Salamanders and
Iron Hands.
No, Imperial Fist.
Imperial Fist, that's right. I was meant.
Get out of that mindset, Danny.
Every answer is Iron Hands.
So we'll see how that goes. Like I said, we'll see after chapter approved. I think we'll have an idea of how it's going to go for LVO. But if nothing changes, it's going to be all Marines, just like it was for Eldar a couple years back for LVO.
Yeah.
Since we're finishing up old business, we do still have the night challenge next Saturday. If John is you're going, right, at the very least.
I'm hoping to.
Are you going to do the night challenge, or are you going to actually play a real army?
I don't know. We'll see. If I end up showing up, we'll see what I show up with.
Jesus.
Delaying my coronation.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, honestly, it depends on if some bullshit doesn't pop up, like did with SoCal Open. You know, like I might randomly get invited to another friend's wedding. Who knows? No, it's not the Iron Knights challenge. We have another challenge that we're going to start. We're playing a list that has 20 Terminators.
Yes, because we like Terminators as bad as some of them are.
Well, some of us don't want to play Chaos that have shitty Terminators. Some of us want to play Terminators that are quasi-decent because the rest of everything else is overpowered. So therefore, that thing might not actually be that bad, even though it's bad in other contexts.
Right.
Correct.
So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'll play something else. I don't know. Although I do have like over more than 20 Terminators. Chaos Terminators. So we're waiting for John's half. John, the final piece of the puzzle for the night challenge.
Sure. Or not. We'll see.
Or not. We'll see.
Yeah.
My crown is ready and waiting.
God, I want to do the night challenge just so that I can try really hard and make sure you don't do that.
Oh my God, so good.
But at this point, going 3-0 with that list is not going to happen, probably.
Well, you just need to go 2-1 and score more battle points.
Yeah, with a number of Marine players out there, Iron Hand players specifically, Knights are not in good shape when it comes to that. Like,
yeah, watch, you're gonna pull Danny Quans.
Yeah, I'll pull the Falchion and get blown off the board in one turn.
It'll be Falchion, Iron Hands, Iron Hand. No, it'll be Iron Hands, Falchion, Iron Hand.
Yes.
That's what it'll be.
Oh my God.
It'll be fast.
Oh my God. It'd be a nightmare and a half.
Because for those new to the show, John doesn't get a lot of playtime.
Tournament time.
Tournament time. He gets to play, but
I play like almost every Tuesday.
Yeah,
I play like once a week.
Not a lot of tournaments. Not a lot of 1 day or 2 day tournaments.
No, my kids have hit that crucial age where like
they do stuff.
They do stuff, and it's on the weekends. And then when they're not doing stuff, there's stuff I get invited to for other stuff like weddings and things. So
yeah, luckily I'm past all that. So
right.
Well, now it's more funerals than anything else.
I was about to make that joke.
Yeah, but you can skip funerals because they're not going to know.
It depends.
They're not going to know.
Yeah, but I have to live with the people that are still alive that know.
Well, I mean, that's on you, bro. If you got guilt, if you're susceptible to guilting, I can't help you.
It's more nagging than guilting, but yes.
You're clearly too Catholic.
That is true. Is anyone too Catholic? Yes.
Yes.
His name is Tom.
I hope he's listening to that one.
He will.
He'll admit it. He'll be like, yeah.
It's true.
And feel guilty about it.
Exactly right.
So we'll see if John will surprise us, see what he brings, whether he wants to win or just lose for that Saturday.
Sure, I guess it'll tell us a lot about who I am as a person.
It doesn't matter if you want to win. You want to win. You do whatever you want to do, John. You don't have to do anything.
I'm not even talking about winning. It'll tell us a lot about who I am as a person if I persevere and build something that's actually good and paint it before then.
Oh, well, depending... Oh, wait, it's only like a week away, so that's just no.
Right, because
no salamanders.
Well, yeah. Well, because the salamanders won't be out, and I got to get my wrist work done tomorrow, and
yeah.
I don't think I'll be able to... I don't know how long I won't be able to paint for.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So, I don't know. Because I hold the models with my left hand, but the models aren't very heavy, and I'm just being told not to do heavy lifting with my left hand. So,
did they give you a weight restriction?
Not yet. I assume after the surgery tomorrow they will.
Yeah, they'll tell you then.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not supposed to go to the gym and lift weights.
Obviously.
For 6 weeks. But I don't know, like, I think it's just a matter of comfort. Like, when it comes to playing video games or painting, it'll just be a matter of comfort whether or not I can.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
The new Apex Arena is out.
I know. I won't be able to play.
I already played it.
Yeah, I didn't. I've been stuck on StarCraft.
Oh, okay.
I found a super trolly thing to do in StarCraft, and it's been a lot of fun.
Nice.
It's been so annoying. I'm not even getting GGs after games a lot of the time. I get the good luck, have fun at the beginning, and then I just get the this person left the game, you won, and no GG.
No GG.
No GG.
Oh, so sad.
Yeah, well, whatever. It happens. So
moving on.
Patreon listener questions. Is that a thing?
That's a thing. For those that don't know, we do have a Patreon.
I'm continually shocked that the fact that we don't like make you listen to this behind a Patreon paywall, that we actually have people who pay us money just to ask us questions.
Or hang out or
ask for list advice or whatever, but I'm just shocked.
Or look at Danny's records as he plays in tournaments.
Yeah. Maybe we should put the episode behind the paywall.
Yeah.
But what we should do is only release half the episode and then put the second half of the episode behind the paywall. I feel like that's a really good strategy.
Well, we can't say the good half because I don't know which half is the good half on our show.
Did I say good half? I said first half and second half, right?
But you think you would have the good half on the second half.
Yeah, but there's too much planning. Like, you're restricting my personal comedic genius by telling me I have to decide where the good half's going to be. Because, let's be fair, the good half is only the side where I'm on it.
So basically, we're only going to hear one side of your headphone. That's the side that John's on. The other side will just be silence.
Yeah. Anyways. I mean, I think that's the thing now, right? You put one half of that podcast episode on one side, and then you put the second half on the other side of the paywall.
I believe so, yes.
Right, that's the thing. Yeah. We should not do that.
We're not doing that. That's actually more work for me. We're not.
Yeah, and if you'd like to become a Patreon member, you totally can, but we're not actually pressuring you with anything like incentivized other than we'll answer your questions.
We do.
I don't know, my random gambling.
Yeah, the Facebook group is fun. It's just fun.
Yeah.
Like it's not it's not a super serial thing.
We are doing a contest just for the Patreon members.
Fake news.
But in that contest,
I don't like this contest. I don't like contests.
We'll start it at the next episode.
I'm okay with challenges. I don't like contests. Because
the
contest invariably requires me to read bad poetry.
You don't have to read anything.
Yeah, it does.
Actually, you do because you have to vote.
Yeah, see, that is already going bad for me.
That's fine.
We should put the contest solidly behind the paywall, and then because I don't actually pay, I don't actually have to do it.
You still have to read them.
No, because I'm not behind the paywall. Because I don't actually pay to the Patreon.
No, you. Oh,
so I am excluded from the challenge entirely because I'm not actually behind the paywall. This is brilliant, and I declare victory. I'm moving the goalposts, and we're moving on.
You declare victory.
I declare victory. We're moving on.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Where's my mission accomplished banner behind me? And my flight suit and my aircraft carrier. Mission accomplished.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
Okay.
So,
like I said, you join the Patreon, you get on the Facebook group. We usually, right before episodes, we ask for questions or topics that they want to discuss. We also have little contests just for the Patreons, and it usually runs concurrent with the main non-Patreon members.
Right.
But it's it's a better prize.
Mm-hmm.
At least I think so.
Makes sense.
and I tend to do my stupid contest when I get to actually go to like GTs or majors of guess my record.
Danny has, and nobody ever guesses draws, and Danny always get a draw. There's a hint if you're in the Patreon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you do always seem to do that. And now that everybody knows and they start to do it, you're not going to get any.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So this week, one of the questions which we already talked about is our opinion in regards to our opinion to the SoCal Open rulings on flying vehicles landing on top of ruins. Someone asked if we were going to do like a informative example video, which is a possibility, but
For what? If it fits, it sits?
Yeah.
Because, if it fits, it sits. Why do you need an informative video? If the base fucking fits, then it fits. And if the hull fits, it fits. And if it doesn't, get wrecked.
If someone want a visual interpretation, they need to see it, and they don't learn.
Look, I am all for differentiated education.
Right. So
However,
then you understand.
However, sometimes things are so simple that it really doesn't require it.
Your faith in humanity sometimes amazes me, John.
Well,
faith
that might be the first time I've ever heard somebody tell me that. So I'm unclear how to proceed.
John is shook.
I don't know where to go from here.
What the fuck
My
is this?
entire life is now a lie.
So then we'll go to the next one. Someone wants to know, how do you guys see the board, quote unquote, see the board? Is there an approach mentally that you take when playing the game, especially against unfamiliar faction opponents?
Yeah, I look at it.
What?
John, Jesus Christ.
What? Come on.
That was a good one. I'm almost certain you're just doing that because of who asked the question.
I don't even know who asked the question. I go look who asked the question. I gotta go see. All right, let me go.
Oh my god, Danny.
I'll give you a serious answer. Just give me a minute.
Okay, well, I'll talk to Danny while you're doing that.
Yeah.
So, if I'm playing an army, I don't know. Really, the first question I have to ask my opponent is, how far can your units go? Right? Because that's the most important thing. Is like, how much do you move faster than me, and if so, by how much? Right? Because this, the movement phase is the most important phase in the game, because it really, you only win two ways in this game: sit someplace for long enough, or kill your opponent, and both of those require movement, right? And it's also something you generally control. Everything else. So movement phase, very important. I need to know, are they faster than me? If so, by how much, right? That's kind of a big consideration too. And then really the other side of that coin is, okay, I'll ask, what do you have that's shoots more than 6 times? Right, because if something shoots, and then what do you have that's strength higher than 8 or AP -3 or greater, right? Just those baseline, what can your army actually do, right? Is it going to shoot me to death? Is it going to assault me to death? How fast is it? And once I have that, then it becomes, there's going to be stratagems I don't have to factor, right? And it's just looking at the board, thinking, okay, based on what I know and what I can understand in this exact given moment, what can I do to win, right? And then just kind of build my game plan and react as best I can. But, the real answer is, how do you see the table if you're going against unfamiliar faction? Is don't ever be unfamiliar with another person's army, right? If you really want to be competitive and you need to know every army out there. You need to have a baseline understanding of what are the common builds, what are the common power units, and it's a shit ton to memorize, but if you really want to be competitive, you will take the time to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
So a serious answer. I did check who said that, and that's awesome. A serious answer to that question is you have to know which questions to ask. It's not about seeing the table when it's an army you've never played before. It's about understanding which questions to ask your opponent. So it's things like it's not like, hey, so how far does that unit move? It's what is the maximum distance that unit could possibly move in a turn?
Mm-hmm.
Because then you're asking, so if it's a knight, right? How far does that knight move? 12 inches.
Right.
Okay. How far could it possibly move in a turn and charge me?
38.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I could give it this relic, or I could give it this relic and this warlord trait, and it could get this Dreadblade rule, and it could go then charge. It could then advance and charge. So 38. Like, you need to ask the correct question. It's not just about, hey, what can this do? What can shoot 6 times? It's what's the maximum number of times that can shoot in a turn? Or something like that, because you need to make sure that they tell you the correct thing. Because then if they don't, well, then you have the code of conduct to avail yourself.
That almost falls under the like in War Machine, where you Danny would know more about than I would in regards to when you ask a question, you should give the complete answer.
Yeah,
not purposely mislead someone by just giving them like you
but
said,
in
John.
40K, the number of people who purposefully mislead is high.
Yes,
it is. It's high. I mean, it just is. It's something that with this game that has, for whatever reason, bred the type of player that will purposefully mislead you. There's too many of them, I think, that are actual lawyers. Because, like, an actual lawyer, and this isn't an actual knock on actual lawyers, but this is something like, do you know what time it is? Yes.
Yeah.
Like, if you're being coached as a witness being deposed, those are the kinds of things that they'll coach you to do.
Yeah.
Do you know the time?
Answer with the bare minimum information possible.
Right.
Do not offer information.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. What day do you know what day of the week it is? Yeah. You don't
Absolutely.
answer. You don't answer Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you know the time? Yes. You don't answer 8:38 p.m. And so I think that that is part of the culture of 40K. Unfortunately, competitive 40K. Mm-hmm. I answered his question. He asked how far this unit moves. He asked how many times this unit shoots. Once.
Right.
Well, you used a strat, and then you had this you had this psychic power that let it shoot 3 times total. Right, but you didn't ask that. You asked how many times it shoots. The unit itself shoots once. And I get it, but I also don't get it.
Danny, is that something in War Machine that was done, or was it automatically?
Yes, absolutely. No, it was. You had to always be forthcoming with information. But you were under no obligation to fully explain your plan. And a big part of War Machine was combos, more so than 40K, because War Machine had an win condition.
Yes.
Right, so like combos were super, super important. And you didn't, if you were a top tier player, you did not go into a game and tell people like, okay, so I want you to know the 6-step plan I have.
Exactly.
That if it goes right, I win.
Right.
Right, like people. Someone did this where I played a really skew list, and someone's like, "Wow, you've got 2 colossals." I'm like, "Yep," and I'm nice, so they're like, "So you shoot a lot?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well, you want?" They're like, "So what's their range?" I'm like, 10. I was like, "Oh, okay, so they're pretty short range." And me being a nice person was like, "Well, I have these abilities, so really my overall threat range is 22 inches, right? If your caster's within 22 inches, I have a chance to kill them." Mm-hmm. And they're like, "Oh shit, okay." Right? Mm-hmm. Which is very different than being like, "What? Okay, so what's their threat range? 10 inches." Right? When it's like, no, it's 22.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So in War Machine, it was common not to be forthcoming.
Yes, it was considered, a dick move, sure, but it was also like that's how you win because combos really mattered.
Right.
And this goes back to my answer too of like if you really want to be a competitive player and see the table, you have to have a baseline, at minimum, a baseline understanding for me, because the old joke, which is very true in War Machine, is every many games end or start to end with this line. Okay, so this is how this is going to work.
Yep.
If you heard that, you just lost.
You lost.
Right.
Yeah. If your opponent utters that you've lost. Yes.
Yeah. You didn't see it. You don't quite know what's going on, but yes, you just lost. And they're about to explain it to you.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And I think it's just, again, if someone's a super competitive player, right, they're going to maximize their chance at victory, and that means doing shit like not offering up a complete and full answer unless prompted, because it is not in their favor to do such, right? Like, that does not benefit them in any real way.
No.
Their opponent's ignorance is a benefit.
Yeah. I mean, and that is understandable, really.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess the other part of that question is just how do you approach how do you see the board? I think it's two parts. So how do you see the board in general, and then also how do you mentally approach that when you, as you just answered, when you're playing the game, especially against unfamiliar factions?
I mean, really, to see the board, you have to know,
see the matrix,
or to look at the board according to someone.
You have to see. You have to know what's going to happen. Yeah, you have to understand the matrix of the game, and see it. But you also need to be able to understand what the opponent's army can do in comparison to what yours can do, and how it's going to interact with the board. I mean, it's one of those things that I don't think you can teach.
I think it's something you can learn, but learn through experience, not necessarily.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think like me having this conversation with you, or even me like playing the game over and over with you and talking you through it, is going to get you to see the board. I think it's something that comes from, like you're saying, Adam, it comes from experience. Yeah. You have to play a lot, and you have to play quality games a lot.
Yes.
So when I approach, I'll just talk about. I'll separate it between unfamiliar and more or less familiar. It depends really on what your army what your army does. Is it a shooting army, an assault army, or a combination of the two? For instance, the army I'm using now is kind of a combination of the two. So when I approach a table, I kind of look for lanes of fire because of what the C beams are line of sight only, and I can't really move because they're on a contemptor. So once I place the contemptor down, he can't really go anywhere else. So it's look what to shoot at, where to shoot at. I'm assuming at this point I already know what my deployment is. If not, as I'm walking up to it, I can already see what deployment I want and where I would put stuff. So I'm usually already planning to put stuff as soon as I walk up to the table. And then as my opponent's deploying, I'm either counter deploying already or I'm deploying in my head. And also in my head anyway, I actually run the game, my movements as the game progresses. In terms of not so much running the numbers into what survives, what dies, shooting, but just where I would go. So I would move these guys here, move these guys there, take that there, try to kill that. And then if this happens, this is why I'm putting him here. Like when I played my game against Genestealer Cult, instead of having Abaddon forward to run with the rest of the monsters in my army, I kept them in the back because of what I know Genestealer Cult does and to protect my backfield. In the course of that game, Abaddon went
ham.
He literally killed a unit of guys with rock saws. I forget what squad that is. The Kelemorph. The Kelemorph, a second unit of Acolytes. The what's the Genestealer guy again? Primus?
Patriarch.
No. Patriarch. He killed the Patriarch. He killed a third unit of Chumps. He killed a 10-man Aberrant squad by himself, fighting twice. He killed off the what's the big Aberrant called again? I don't even know the name.
The Abominant.
The Abominant. I just know I kill stuff. So he did all that because I knew during the course of the game what was going to happen eventually. And as the game progresses, and I notice a lot of people don't do this, is I'm already planning my moves as my opponent's making his moves.
Right.
Granted, I don't know what's going to be alive or dead, but as stuff dies or survives, I just adjust the plan as it goes.
Right. Well, that's also a time-saving tactic. Like, if it's a competitive
Yes.
game and you're on the clock, that's one of the things you can do to make sure that you don't waste your time and clock out. I mean, any good player should be adjusting their overall... You should go into the game with an overall strategy for how to win. That's like why you pick secondaries.
Yeah.
Like, you should have picked the correct secondaries. You should have a game plan in mind for getting the primaries, and then you should adjust that plan based on what your opponent has done on their turn, and what you failed to achieve on your turn.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes what you're willing to give up.
Yes.
For the long term, because as much as it pains me, not all games go to full turn. So you got to plan for that too, and you have to see like 1 or 2 turns ahead, just like chess or some other games, and that comes in handy.
Yeah.
And it is a time-saving thing, and I think it's something like we mentioned earlier, where it's more of a skill that you kind of learn over time.
Right.
Because when you first start out, you don't really know what you're doing, and you're kind of reacting to everything. But that can only take you so far, because when you have to get to a point where you're just kind of like, okay, well, this is going to happen, and you play enough games and play enough against the same armies that you know what's going to happen, so you know how to, or at least you can predict. It doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. Like something like my assaulted my Scorpius, and somehow it survived. I thought it was going to die, but it actually survived with like a couple wounds left. So then I made adjustments in my head anyway as to what to do next when it's my turn.
Right.
So things of that nature. Now, if I go up and it's an army I don't know, I ask a shit ton of questions. I'm always asking questions. And a lot of times
you want to be clear on what's going to happen,
Right. And I'll ask the same question over and over again. Because it does a couple things. It just, for me, that's just how I learn, because I learn through experience more than book learning. And the other thing is, sometimes you'll actually catch people give you the wrong information, whether it's on purpose or by accident.
Right.
Especially as
either
die.
way, you need to catch them either way. No matter what.
Yeah, we need to get the correct information just to play the game fair or whatever. But I do ask a lot of questions if I'm not familiar with the army. If I'm familiar with the army, I don't really ask a lot of questions. But asking a lot of questions, although it is time consuming, or it can be,
it's worth it.
It's well worth it. Even if he wants to like put it on your time, for me, if that's fine, whatever. I'm not worried about my time usually.
Well, I think a big thing is, in terms of seeing the table, understand the difference between strategy and tactics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that you need to go into your games, and this is part of the list building kind of phase of life, is with your strategy. What is my overall idea of how do I win games? Do I table butt my opponent? Do I grind them out? Do I have a strong alpha strike and then hide? Do I beta strike? Do I bait? What do I do? And that's all strategy. That's thinking in the big pieces. You have to learn tactics of, this is the situation right as it is with these very specific variables. How do I behave to ensure that my strategy is going forward? And when my strategy has failed and I need to suddenly create a new one out, right? And tactics is always evolving. Your strategy can be the same game, but the tactics should serve the overall strategy, and you need to also know your strategy just failed and you have to right. And the tactics is what really you're tested on in the actual game itself, because it's like, oh, my my executioner wasn't supposed to die to that. Okay, I didn't have a plan of what to do if I had lost an executioner. Fuck, that means you're probably gonna. But if you're like, okay, that wasn't expected, but I know what I can do in this moment to maximize my chance of both executioners living the next turn.
Right.
And it's you have to think steps ahead, and you have to have contingencies. Like, this is when we always make the joke, shut up if you blame your dice, of if your game comes down to a single dice roll, it means you made a mistake. Right, because you did not have a contingency. You did not have other factors to win outside of that one. Right, you have to,
Yeah, there's a lot of things. There are a lot of instances or circumstances that lead up to that one
that moment.
Yeah. Like I was playing my league game, my online league game for Blood Bowl earlier today. and we were talking about how the computer tends to roll a lot of ones in the game. And I made the comment that, the thing about Blood Bowl is that unlike 40K, where you can roll all these thousands of dice and whatever, and then it comes down to like one die roll.
Right.
Where in Blood Bowl, every die roll matters.
Right, because every die roll can fuck you horribly.
Yes. And so for 40K, unlike Blood Bowl, where you can do something just like going for an extra space and that could fuck you over. In Blood Bowl, a lot of things have to fall in place for that one die roll to kind of like fuck you over.
Fuck Blood Bowl. This game's bullshit.
Did you lose your game already?
Yeah, and I had people die, and the game's stupid.
That game's the best. I'm undefeated, by the way. But yeah, so in that context, like Danny said, it shouldn't come down to one die roll, but a lot of times it does, and that's it happens. But at the same time, you sometimes have to recognize and maybe go back into your games and see where could you have done things different, where it wouldn't have mattered. Maybe it was target priority, your movement, something you did like during the game with the Genius Cult. I did my order of assault fights wrong. And I allowed him to get a CP back, which allowed him to interrupt and kill off a Demon Prince before he got to fight. And if I had lost by, or if it came down to one die roll, that probably would have been a moment that I made a mistake in terms of my order of operations. And even though it came down to one die roll, if I hadn't done that, it probably would have saved me that extra stress of having to worry about that die roll. But that's how we see the quote unquote see the board. Then I believe there's one more question in regards to do we feel that it's time for with all the talk about terrain and standardization and all that other stuff, do we think it's time for the community to establish like its own brand of terrain rules? Okay, that's Danny's answer. That's hard to do in general, I think, especially nowadays because of the reach of because of Facebook and social media. I think, and who would be an authority on that, and even then, what GW's take is on it, because I think certain tournaments and certain organizers are limited by Games Workshop and what they can do in regards to the game. You can certainly put one together, and maybe, and again, each TO is allowed to do whatever they want, especially in the ITC format, to do whatever they want with terrain. They can have no magic boxes. Nothing's a magic box. Doesn't matter if it has doors or windows. Nobody can go in them. Or they can make everything a magic box, like a certain judge did at a tournament. You can go inside anything. But that's determined usually by the TOs. I don't know if you could, the community as a whole could come together and come to a consensus as to what.
No, I mean that's why GW has.
That was my.
I mean that's GW has to put the rules out in order for it to be accepted. It has to come from them. Like this is the thing with the SoCal Open ruling about the flyers. Right. If it had come from GW, the crying and gnashing of teeth and rubbing dirt in your hair online for a 48-hour period, like seriously, stop, get over it, it's the way it is, would have been very different. It would have been like this is kind of silly, but okay, those are the rules, and they'd have moved on.
I mean, that's the thing of like, we talk about the community, but while the community is way more organized and generally unified than it was 4 years ago, 5 years ago, it is not a unified thing. There are there's just not this one voice of the community, and so trying to get buy-in from everybody would be so problematic.
It's basically impossible. Like whenever I talk about the Articles of Confederation government with my students, we always talk about like how impossible it is to get everybody to agree on everything.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you could do it. And I'm like, okay, there's 30 of you in the class. If I tell you tomorrow, I will bring the entire class ice cream. If you can all agree on a single flavor, you won't be able to do it. Because you cannot get everybody to agree to everything. And it's even worse with something like 40K, where it's hyper complex and everybody's got their little territory to defend and everybody's got their little idea of how it's supposed to work, and they want to defend that and have it be their way and it's their vision, and it's just not going to happen. Like, you're not going to get it. Even in the INAT days, you remember INAT?
Yes.
There were people who were like, nope, we're not using INAT. Why? Not official.
Yeah. Yep.
And the translation was, we're not using INAT. Why? Because I didn't have a say.
It's not mine.
Yep.
So,
exactly.
No, that's exactly right. It's just the reality is, and everyone wants to have fun playing the game and to make the game successful. But the reality is that there is and has always been a lot of ego involved in like the big folk who, are the quote unquote voice of the community, right? In terms of competitive play. And I promise you, if Nova says, hey, this is what we think it should be, you are going to get people be like, well, fuck Nova. I don't care. Even if they would actually, if they heard it from ITC says, or ETC says, or, Warzone says, right, they would have a very different opinion. It's just because there's a lot of that kind of factionalism still in the game, which is why it's GW's job to do that shit, right? To be like, here are the rules. Here's the FAQ, right? Like, again, if this was 6 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe the community could be like, okay, let's work with some new terrain rules because we had the ITC FAQ, right? But now that GW is active, it's because the GW is active and it's their job and they know that, and we communicate to them kind of en masse. So I wouldn't be surprised if Chapter Approved actually had modifications to the terrain rules, right? Because they've heard that shit a lot. And I think they know, like, oh, we got to start doing something. Yeah. Right. So I wouldn't be surprised. And definitely when we get 8.5 or whatever they're going to call the updated, addition sweep or cleanup or whatever they're going to do, they'll have, right? Like,
General's Handbook.
Just, Warhammer
General's 40K Handbook. 8th edition General's Handbook.
Yeah. They just actually call it, that's the thing.
Handbook.
Their whole thing is they don't even call it 8th edition, right?
No,
like, this is just 40K. They're past the idea of edition, right? It's just, here's 40K, and if we need to make new updates and basically quote unquote have a new edition, we'll just put out a new rule book, or we'll put out a new supplement that changes everything.
Warhammer 40K. These are the rules.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the same with Age of Sigmar. We call it like Age of Sigmar 2.0. They don't. It's just Age of Sigmar.
We do that because that's what we're used to. They just this is Age of Sigmar. It's what it is.
I'm surprised we don't call Age of Sigmar second edition.
Right. Yeah.
2.0.
Well, because they had 1.5. So we got used to
General's Handbook was basically 1.
Yeah, we got used to
the very first one.
Yeah, we got used to the decimal system.
Yeah, and that's because they see it more like a.
The flyer rule is based. Well, John, what they say, if it sits, it fits. So
if it fits, it sits.
Whatever.
No, dyslexic jerk. It's the other way around.
Whatever. So
sure, make fun of his learning disability.
I absolutely will, because he's not my student. He's had enough years to overcome. He's not my student.
He's not my friend.
He should have overcome this already. I know he's got to drag the rest of us down.
Basically, what it is a fly. Any vehicle with the fly keyword, I believe.
Yes, any vehicle with the fly keyword.
The base has to fit completely on
the ruin.
No overhang on a ruin if it's not above the
first level.
First floor.
Yeah. And if you don't use the base, if you measure for hull, then the hull has to fully fit on whatever level of ruin.
Like repulsors and wave serpents.
And Caladius.
And the whole hull has to fit, which means nobody's going on the second.
Correct. Which is correct. Because otherwise you look stupid. And like you're a jerk.
Damn.
So whatever.
So that was the ruling for SoCal.
Come on, I've never pulled punches before, have I?
A few people are up in arms.
A little bit.
A few Necron players. Oddly enough, the Necron community is like super up in arms about it. But then when you look about it, the DDA is what they wanted to put up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the DDA, I believe, is
they
from
need the line of sight, yeah.
Yeah.
And I get it, but like, sorry guys, it's not good for the game to allow people to do that. It just isn't.
No.
Actually, when I first read it, I thought he meant all units with the fly keyword.
Oh, it's his vehicle.
No, well, I'm just saying when I first read it, I thought it was fine. That even if it was on, I was just like, oh, I guess my Mortarion can't be on the top floor.
Which I think would be fine also.
Right now it is because he's not a vehicle.
Right. No, what I'm saying, it'd be fine if they went that way also.
Wow, yeah, I was okay with that too. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if people might actually like it more if they did if he did that.
Right.
But for now, it's just vehicles. Like I said, SoCal's almost like a test bed at this point for LVO because remember last year we got the hangars, the infamous hangar terrain.
Ask Tommy about that.
Yeah, if anyone wants to know, and if you ever see him, you can ask Tom how the hangar was.
Yeah. It was an enjoyable play experience, and he looked forward to playing on it again.
He learned a lot from
exactly what he said.
and then it wasn't around at LVO at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see how the rules.
We have it at our local store in pieces. I got to put that back together and make out Tom play on it. I got to remember to do that.
His Iron Hand, but his Iron Hands, at least his infantry can go inside at least.
That's true. I'm playing with my Shalamander's infantry. And put my Shalamander's infantry inside the hangar.
Twitch Village idiot. Stupid meta chasing Necron players.
Yeah, not right.
I like the name. I'm pretty sure you just made that up. And I approve.
I think he was on our last show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was on last show. You made the comment
I probably did make the same
I love
comment
that
last,
Twitch.
yes.
I love that name.
John has short-term memory issues.
It's not short-term memory issues. It's not caring.
Due to his reenactments as an artilleryman for British Napoleonic.
Really?
You're just shoehorning that in places it doesn't even fit. So
yes,
I'm not even going to acknowledge that nonsense.
You don't have to, because I already said it, and it's true.
He said it, therefore it's true. That's how it works, right?
On the internet, so it's true.
Yeah, that totally makes things true when they're said on the internet.
Well, yeah, right.
I believe that was the last question. If there's any other questions in the chat, ask
Speak
them
now or wait for 2 weeks.
You know, or hold your peace for 2 weeks for the next episode.
We have another show. They can ask the Focus Fire guys.
They don't do a live show though.
No, but they can ask questions and send them to them.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, or you could join.
You absolutely
Patreon
should.
And just bug us on our.
You should
page.
absolutely do one of those two things: either join the Patreon or bug Alan and Jeff about your questions.
Yeah.
Or just message us because we'll still probably answer your question without you being a Patreon by just messaging us.
Why you gotta
we're not going to
tell
be
people that? We're supposed to get how else are we supposed to become pro 40K people who make their living playing and judging 40K and doing a podcast for a niche community of like maybe 10,000 people. Like, how am I supposed to make my living off these 10,000 people if you keep telling them we'll answer their questions for free? There needs to be 3 or 4 paywalls and tiers and levels.
Like 3 or 4.
And then I've got to move back into my parents' house in order to make this work. Okay? Is that clear? We're clear, right?
That's true for anybody to do anything.
Good. Okay. Ready and break. Go.
Oh, man.
All
right.
I'm guessing.
Does it look like there's anything in the chat?
Nope. I killed the show. Good game.
Thanks. Great
GG.
going, John. GG. John gets a GG at last.
I got a GG at last because I'm not getting it in StarCraft.
Gee, I wonder why.
Oh my god.
Everybody loves battle cruisers, right?
Yeah, I love battle. I used to love battle cruisers. Oh my god.
Hey man, when you get 2 battle cruisers warping into your main, like 6 minutes into the game or whatever the hell it is, and you're like, what? This is the best. Some people can handle it. Most people in the gold level can't, and it's hilarious. I mean, it's funny for me. I don't know about for anybody else.
And that's all that matters, right?
That's true. It is.
Well, thank you everybody for listening. Our local RTT is next weekend. All gearing up for SoCal practice. John, I think, has a reenactment engagement within the next 2 weeks. I think it is practicing as artillery. Just be careful. Don't lose a hand. That has happened.
You were the worst.
Well, it happened to one of the Perry brothers.
I know. We've talked about it on the show long time ago, in the days of yore. In the dark times, before the 8th edition.
Danny will be teaching the future, the bright future.
No, on that time I will be on that Saturday. I will be hanging out with my family because I'm going to be doing SoCal. Yeah. Well, I'll be doing SoCal, so I have to earn those points. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So by next episode we'll have RTT reports from at least myself and probably John. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
And
I can play my first RTT of the year.
I will just be trolling you guys via about what's going on.
That's fine. We appreciate it.
And calling out of my liege until John dethrones him.
It should be never.
Stop encouraging.
Usurper.
Stop encouraging.
Whatever, peasant. Adam does not care for the thoughts of peasants.
Oh my God.
I'm going to start referring to myself in the third person.
Just end the fucking show already.
So good night, everybody, and have a pleasant tomorrow.
Laters.
See ya.